Mark Twain called the late 19th century the Gilded Age. By this, he meant that the period was glittering on the surface, but corrupt underneath. In the popular view, the late 19th century was a period of greed and guile, of rapacious robber barons, unscrupulous speculators, and corporate buccaneers, of shady business practices, scandal-plagued politics, and vulgar display. The late 19th century witnessed the birth of modern America. It saw the closing of the western frontier. Between 1865 and the 1890s, Americans settled 430 million acres in the far west, more land than during the preceding 250 years of American history. This period also witnessed the creation of a modern industrial economy. A national transportation and communication network was created. The corporation became the dominant form of business organization, and a managerial revolution transformed business operations. It is easy to caricature the Gilded Age as an era of corruption, conspicuous consumption, and unfettered capitalism. But it is more useful to think of this as modern America's formative period, when an agrarian society of small producers was transformed into an urban society dominated by industrial corporations. It was a time of great change. The Memphis and Charleston Railroad had connected Memphis to the Atlantic, fulfilling a dream of allowing cotton and other goods to be shipped to that market, as well as by river to New Orleans. Also, the opening of the Harahan Bridge across the Mississippi at Memphis signaled a beginning of increased ties to the western United States, just as markets in California and other western states were experiencing unprecedented growth and desperately needed hardwood lumber from the South. These businesses would prove to be the foundation of some of the greatest fortunes in Memphis. Research through the 19th century newspapers shows that Memphians, like their fellow Americans, had become more international in their outlook. The Memphis papers began to feature lengthy articles which described foreign cities, countries, and their distinct cultures. Thomas Cook and Company, the agency which ushered in mass tourism, began to locally advertise travel tours. Members of the Mallory and Neely families traveled abroad to both Europe and the East. Like other wealthy American families, they began to collect an assortment of Oriental furnishings, including Chinese, Arab, and Indian pieces. Late 19th century Qing dynasty furniture in the house includes several stands, a stool, a screen, and a cabinet. The latter two, according to oral tradition, were purchased by Mrs. Mallory from the Chinese display at the 1904 Louisiana Purchase Exposition, which was informally known as the St. Louis World's Fair. The exposition was a marvel, and people came from all over the world to see its wonders. The screen is made up of elaborately carved panels surrounding large pieces of intricately worked Chinese embroidery depicting various birds and flowers. The cabinet, too, has all-over carving and is lavishly inlaid with mother-of-pearl. Both of these showy pieces are characteristic of late 19th century Chinese furniture, which was profoundly influenced by Western taste. Typical of these pieces, therefore, is the dependency on sheer volume and intricacy of carving and the use of elaborate mother-of-pearl and bone inlay. Located in the music room is another Far Eastern piece, a large, intricately carved Ceylonese table. According to oral tradition, it too was purchased at one of the world's fairs, possibly from the display of India or Ceylon. Southern Indian furniture like this is often shown in photographs of late-century American interiors. The ornateness of design apparently appealed to Victorian taste. Arabic furnishings are represented in the Mallory Neely house by two octagonal-shaped taboret tables. In Islamic lands, they were used as tables by those sitting on carpet-covered floors. The Mallory Neely examples are both carved with typical Islamic designs and calligraphy. The interiors of the Mallory Neely house are said to be among the most representative of the late 19th century. After the 1890 renovation, Mrs. Daisy changed very little until the house was made into a museum. The majority of the American museum houses are composed of donated objects, but Mallory Neely House has all its original furnishings and accessories. Special interior architectural features include two ornate stained glass windows bought at the 1892 Chicago Columbian Exposition. One was installed in the front door. The other was used on the stair landing, which had to be reconfigured to accommodate its grand proportions. Also found in the house is intricate stenciling, gilding, parquet floors, and marble chimney pieces. In the drawing room, a frescoed ceiling combines geometric shapes, fruit garlands, and female masks executed by Cincinnati craftsmen. As you tour the house, you will hear the stories of the families who have called this imposing edifice home for over 160 years. This home, certainly one of Memphis' finest, stands as a testament to the wealth and vision of powerful men and their enterprising families. The fact that the Mallory Neely house is still with us is somewhat of a miracle. Hundreds of historic homes have suffered the fate of the wrecking ball in the intervening years, but this house stands, like a beacon from another time, to remind us of what was and what could be.